What's the number one thing that'll determine your success in an AI powered world? Welcome back to the Idea Supply Chain, where we take a look at where ideas come from and what makes ideas valuable. Lately, I've been thinking about what is going to be most important when it comes to being successful in the age of AI. And I've thought about it from a lot of different angles, but what I've ultimately come back to is that the thing that will determine how fast you can move in the age of AI is the speed with which you communicate. And a lot of startups are already having troubles in this area. And this is something I experienced from my last role at a startup. Everybody's moving extremely quickly. So how do you communicate what everybody's doing to where everybody has that full context, but doesn't need to be focusing on it all the time? It's a very delicate balance, and something that I think as humans, it's very tough to do, especially in today's society, which I think doesn't teach us how to communicate particularly effectively. It's something a lot of us have to learn on our own. I know I certainly have. But I think the trick here is to communicate without communicating. What do I mean by that? So typically, when you're communicating with someone, you know what you know, and you have some imagined idea of what the other person knows. Now, depending on how well you know the person you're talking to, your idea of what they know may or may not be accurate. And so you're trying to communicate everything you've done into what you view as important, and you're trying to convey that to somebody else. And in a company, we're constantly passing information around this way. What that means is there's all sorts of information that gets horribly compressed into these little small packets in conversation. And we talk about things, but people have a bad memory, or they had an emotional day and, maybe aren't completely engaged, or there's a million different reasons as to why these messages don't get received. And so what I'm doing is I'm actually flipping that on its head, and I'm starting to run experiments where instead of communicating directly to people, mostly it's just like communicating with a notepad. But that notepad has AI features built in order to take actions and do all sorts of different things that can help you communicate effectively by focusing on what people actually need. And so if you're in a team setting where everybody's kind of just jotting down notes constantly, and all of these notes are networked together and searchable, then by using these new techniques that are available with these large language models coming out, like by turning everything into embeddings and creating this vectorized search space, suddenly you're going to be able to figure out the context of what's important based on the questions you ask, as opposed to what information is available based on what people thought was important. And so the first place I'm going to be trying this out is in My AI Co-Founder. If you haven't followed me for a while, it's a SaaS product I made. Started off as just kind of a chat bot with some interesting functionality. I'm shifting it to be more this model where it's a super powered notepad. And that feels like a very derivative way to say it, because quite honestly, I put a ton of research and thought into how all of this works. But in the end, it's a glorified notepad. But the cool thing is it's got a task list that I'm planning on teaching it how to do itself. So basically, as you put in things and thoughts, it'll identify tasks that you need to do. And then down the line, we'll actually start completing them for you as it learns different things that it can do. And so that's going to be pretty cool, but it's going to be a great way to showcase this idea of communicating without like this direct communication, because I think that can be a very hard thing to do. And by not focusing on the communication, but more the observation of the thought, I think that's going to be a lot more powerful going forward in terms of speed of communication. So what do I need from you to help make this reality? right now I am looking for companies with about 10 to 20 people who are moving quickly, but realize that their bottleneck is speed of communication, and they're looking to improve that. If that's you, or if that's somebody you know, get in touch with me, please. I can help you move extremely fast and extremely effectively in an age of AI. And you're going to be amazed at how much crap you can just stop doing because it's not needed with this new method. So stay tuned. I'm going to have research, I'm going to have case studies, and I'm going to show you how I use it myself. And it's going to really help us, I think, get better at communication when we stop trying to worry about what we think the other person might know and instead focus on the thoughts as they come. We need to stop filtering things on whether or not they're important, because when it comes to AI, we don't know. The AI is smarter than us. We want to give it as much data as possible, and part of that is just dumping thoughts out as much as possible, because you can do some really, really cool things when you have data that's that level of purity, honestly, because it's so very direct from the thoughts of the user. So you can make better assumptions on all sorts of different things by realizing that it doesn't have to be 100% true. Short observations, thoughts as they come. And the goal is to just get all of this out of your head so that you can focus on the stuff that really matters for whatever it is you do. Because let's face it, we live in an extremely busy world, and everybody is trying to communicate with everybody else, and it's exhausting because they all suck at it, and it's all very noisy, and we want to stop that. So let's try something different. If you're interested, let me know. If not, watch the channel. Cool videos coming. You're going to see it in action, and maybe you'll decide it's worthwhile to try. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.